Welcome back to Feet on the Ground, stories that need to be told and stories that need to be heard. Today, we are unpacking community expectations, not just how to manage them, but how they are created in the first place. Because in many projects, expectations don't just appear, they are shaped, often unintentionally, and normally by the project itself and by the various interactions. So today, I'm very lucky to be speaking with Hortencia Rebelo. She has been working in this area for many years, and I'm sure she has quite some stories to tell us. So, welcome, Hortencia. I'm very happy to have you here. Let's start by introducing yourself a little bit. Who are you? What is your background? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Patricia. I'm delighted to be here with you today, representing many of Mozambican people, saying a bit about me. My name is Hortencia Rebelo. I am from Tete province and I have a background in community development. I studied here in Mozambique. There's a lot to say, but simplifying, I joined this area while I was at university. Then I started in a consultancy company. So it's more than more than 10 years now. Since the beginning until now, I can say that I learned a lot on community engagement, on how to behave in different cultures, areas, and how to hear out the other people.
And what did you study?
I studied community development. And that's why when I work with the community, that's something that is deeper than me. It's
And then Hortensia, enlighten me a little bit. What is a community?
a community is everywhere we are in it. Because when people hear community, they think about rural communities, but it's not only the rural communities, but it's also the urban, the peri-urban areas. Every neighborhood that we have is a community. So I'm inserted in a certain community also.
You have worked with many projects and always from the community angle. Just walk me through a little bit of when does a project start engaging with communities?
Commonly, you have to start engaging with the communities when you are in earlier stages of a project. When you're still designing the project, you have the environmental and social studies. In that stage, you start engaging, but the engagement is not deeper as when you are in the resettlement action plan. When you have resettlement, the engagement is deeper because
What's
you
deep?
messing up with livelihoods of people. For the issue itself, we have public consultation. This is for everyone to know about that project. We have some small engagements with the communities. Part of it, we can say there was a focus group, but you don't have all representatives.
And at what point do expectations, community expectations, start forming?
The community expectations start at the moment that you bring a light saying that there is a project coming to the community. The first thing that the community thinks about, work. We will have the employment. And of course, there are some people that think that can have some additional profits aside of work, but the most gain that the people are expecting is work and also, how do I say, conditions, life conditions.
Better paid work and maybe some benefits.
No, not that, but if I'm impacted by a project or if the project is coming to my community, I expect they doing something so my community will develop due to that project. So that's something else that they see like they will bring some improvements to the community.
Yeah, yeah. And then do these expectations change as the project starts?
Mostly when you know who is directly impacted by the project, the expectations start to change. Depending on the type of project, there are some projects that you actually don't have direct benefit of it, but it's a major project or it's even if it is a minor project, So when they see no direct benefit, they start pushing back somehow.
And maybe there, I want, because I'm also sharing a bit of my experience, what I've seen a little bit. I'm not sure if this is something you've seen as well. It's that when the project comes, there's also a lot of promises that the people in the project or the government officials that want the project to be successful will come in and say, this is great. It's going to bring electricity. It's going to bring a lot of jobs. And then what I find is that the reality, as the project then starts becoming more concrete, is that you start realizing that there were a lot of promises that were given by the developer, by the government, by even the consultants that are there, that are not necessarily either true or not necessarily in the same dimension. So, yes, the project is going to bring jobs, but maybe it's only 20 jobs, not 1,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's something that is somehow difficult to manage. We have these kind of promises is all over the projects, and even if you try to say like we won't promise anything, you have a job, but it's not like thousands of jobs. You won't hire everyone. And while the consultancy team is starting a process, when they go to the government and share the information that goes to the community somehow comes with more than what was said. It's then the project implementation team that has to come and clarify that yeah, we will be hiring people, but it won't be thousands of people. And also to to manage this expectation from the community is not easy at all, because you have to explain that the contractor that is coming, it comes with a team, experts team that come with them, but they will also hire locally. So how do you say that? Okay, we have 100 things to be done, but for this 100 from the community, we only need 15 people. You see the gap. So they'll be like, but you promised lots of works, and it's not easy, but that's why there's a team to engage and bring the regular update on the project to explain what is the stage of the project and also explain what are the expected job positions for that area.
What are some of the expectations or that tends to be overpromised or that are the reality is different um, from what has been mentioned that you might that you know we've talked about, let's say, number of jobs where people initially think this is going to bring a lot of jobs to the communities and the community members, and then the reality is that maybe it's not as many jobs and not all of the jobs are going to be for only community members. Maybe some are going to come from outside. Is there other things that you think, oh, this every time that we go to a community there's always this mismatch between the expectations and the reality?
There's one thing that is not actually promised, but is the way people understand it. Whenever you have power plant or you have a transmission line, people tend to understand that they will have electricity in their houses. So the team that you have has to be every time explaining that a transmission line, it's not a distribution line, but this can help to have a better quality of electricity. That's one thing that you can explain today, tomorrow, after, but it's difficult to be understood by the people that are affected, that are seeing the line, because they think like the line is just crossing and I don't have electricity in my house. To explain that to them, it's not that easy.
Also, I mean, because you go in and saying we are going to bring a project that is going to bring energy, but it's not to them.
Yeah, it's not to them. It's to a substation, and through that substation, this can go back. Helps the company that, in case for us, is EDM. So they are the one who can distribute the power in all over Mozambique.
Yeah, yeah. If this was a road, would that be a little bit different?
Actually, we use a road as an example. The main road, like for example, the EN6, it connects one city to another, but I cannot build a road only to go to Patricia's house. So the goal is first to have a main road, and from the main road to have additional secondary and tertiary roads. That's the same with the power grid.
So we've talked about just general expectations of communities. We've talked about jobs, number of jobs that they tend to think it's going to be more than it's there. Is there anything with relations to the salaries or let's say the type of jobs where people think that they're going to get maybe more highly skilled jobs or more higher paid jobs? Is there any expectations around that or that tends to be within aligned with the reality?
Mostly from the experience that I got from the communities, the people that are hired are unskilled or semi-skilled. However, with some digging, we understood that they are skilled people in the communities. So that is something that we need to work a bit more in the projects to make sure that also there's space for the skilled people to be hired. I was in a project where there were some skilled people hired from the communities, and I can say women doing jobs that commonly are done by men. And it was something that surprised me a lot. I was happy to see that. Good job from people that other people were saying like she won't manage. But skilled people doing a great job and worked until the end of the project.
It's super interesting. So I actually think so at the moment we're talking about community expectations, but there's also this mismatch of expectations between, let's say, the developer or the contractor and the reality where the contractor believes that there won't be any skilled people in the area. And so, but actually sometimes there are and they don't plan for it, but then actually that creates an issue because like you mentioned, you might actually have some skilled people there that you don't need to bring from outside, but there is an expectation that you're only going to use semi-skilled or non-skilled people at the community level for that work.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And anything else, for example, I'm thinking also from my own experience, the timelines. There's an expectation that you come today to say there is a project, and then people expect the project to be here tomorrow.
I'm smiling, but this is a huge mess up that many projects pass through it. Because when someone comes to me and say there's a project coming and the project will start by the end of this year, all my expectations, everything that I planned to do, I won't do because I'm waiting for that project. And then suddenly the project doesn't start at the end of this year, doesn't start next year. So that somehow makes people don't trust that the project will start. So they start to feel like this is only one of those people coming and saying that they want to build a project and they won't do it. And they only start believing when they see the contractor coming clean.
I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the communities. How long does it take from the moment that you get consultant, you know that there's a project coming, and that's the consultancy team is saying, it's going to come. And from your experience, how long can that take?
I will use an example of a project that is in place, not yet at construction stage. What I was informed about it was that for them, they have community liaison officers. I will call them CLOs, as commonly we call. They engage the communities. The project should have started 2 years ago. So you can imagine how the community, how the different stakeholders they feel. And whenever there is a consultant team or any team that is going to work in the communities, even if it is only to open a hole, they try to have at least one person from the community working with that team. So that makes the communities also feel that they are part of the process. They're expecting the project, they tired of waiting, but they see that whenever there is something, the project called the community and the community are part of this process to be hired.
But it feels like that's a good practice in a
Yes,
way. That's
that's a good
that's
try.
a good practice. So sometimes what you're saying is that sometimes projects can take a lot longer than they anticipated. And so one way of keeping communities, I'm not saying satisfied, but engaged is, and and still trusting the project and that it's going to happen is to every time that you can is to hire someone from there to be able to show some progress.
Yes, yes, yes. And also to make sure you share updated information of your project. Don't lie to them.
No,
That's
exactly. So, and update
something.
information of also including of timelines.
Yes, yes. The update information includes timelines. Yes. My suggestion would be to have the implementation team starting earlier. I have seen this happening in other projects, and that helps. You need to have a social team in place, not a full social team, but a social team with CLOs and maybe a simple manager, social manager to be in the community so they see someone from the project at least once a month or every 2 months. So they see that, okay, they still with us.
Yeah.
And that's also something that they say like, we're tired of your meetings. We want to see action. You
Yeah,
see?
because I would also imagine, yes, that's a very good point. That there is, if all you do is engage, there's the fatigue, right, of consultation fatigue. It's a common term of people just getting tired, like stop coming to talk to me. We want to see the project.
This happens a lot. So you have to reinvent yourself. When you engage people, you engage them because you have something to share with them from your perspective. We focus on what we bring into the communities as our project aims. But sometimes you also need to hear out the community and bring some solutions to what they living in those communities. So if you are in a community where they cut the wood and make charcoal, you need to try to read about it, understand a bit about it, and then help them out not to have fire in the mountains or fire elsewhere, so they can have that as their income, but they're not losing everything else. So if you bring a solution to that to them, they will be somehow happy. They will be in your meetings. So you need to
Hmm.
bring something, a seed to make them like, "Oh, I'm going there. Not only for
It's a
to
win-win.
hear, yeah, it's a win-win. Easy, it's not, but it's a
Yeah.
way
So what you're
to win
saying,
them.
yeah. And I think we almost kind of got into some of the best practices that you're using, which I think is really fantastic. So what you're saying is one, have the implementation team of a project start earlier and start engaging them and also tell them about, be very open and transparent and tell them about project timelines, things that are happening. At the same time, see if they can hire people from the community for some of the small things that you need to do, so that people feel that there are some jobs already being, even though the big ones have not arrived. And at the same time, whilst you are engaging with them, either because you have to ask them something else or whatever it is, also use those moments to come up with solutions to some of the community problems already, so that they feel like there's a win-win, that they're not just going there to listen, that they're also going there to get something out of this. And if I can ask, is there anything that you think, if you were to do something differently from all of your experiences, where you thought, actually, this was a really good idea, in addition to those three things that you mentioned? Is there something that you'd say, this particular lesson was great, or this did not work at all?
Wow. This is something that is new to Mozambique. It's related to its engagement, but it's related to gender. This has to be well managed because when you talk about gender, you take hours. Everyone doesn't want to leave your meeting. When you talk about gender-based violence, everyone has something to say. You don't hide anything. You talk about everything, but you need to be carefully because each community is different. And even if I say in front of everyone, like we don't have this kind of things happening in our communities, you know that happens. And also when you see a project, you somehow have prostitution, but you don't want that. So I think it's good to have now the gender-based violence mitigation measures integrated into the project. And what we need is to make sure we have more expertises in that area, not to bring the wrong information to the different stakeholders. That is also something important, looking to the reality of Mozambique. That's when we engage communities, we need to make sure we maintain the government also informed on the engagements that we have with the communities, not because they will change the engagement, but for the good relationship between the project, the government, and the community. Because that community is inserted in a certain district, local government, and you are someone that are coming who knows that community is the local government, the local leadership. So you need to involve these parts in the interactions that you have. And good practices that is happening around the world, but also in Mozambique, is that some projects they create like committees and involving communities to receive, collect some concerns and share it with the project, share with the government, and the government is also part to support the community going to the project to have that solved. So that's something that is also a good practice that I would like to share with you.
Thank you. My last question to you is there something that we should be speaking about that we are not speaking about?
I think we somehow covered everything.
We've known each other for some time, and I know that you are a resettlement expert and that you are doing a lot of resettlement. So I would love to one day speak to you about your experience with resettlement, which is in itself a very particular part of projects because it's where you have the potential for the highest negative impact in people's lives. And it's also one of the hardest things to do and to do it well, lots of unknowns. So I would love to invite you to come back again and talk to me about resettlement when you are free and available.
I would love to speak with you about it. I really love this chapter, the resettlement, and you're right. Lots of negativities are in resettlement, but there are also some positive points.
Yeah. Let me finish then this by saying thank you so much, Hortencia, for this really wonderful chat. It has really been a pleasure. And I really thank you for the work that you are doing. It's people like you that are, really trying hard to get these projects going at the same time balancing the needs and the well-being of communities in a way that is very caring. I see by the way you express yourself and also the passion that you have in making sure that everyone in the community is involved and integrated in the project from the planning all the way to the construction. And I really want to thank you for sharing your lessons in this community expectations for others to learn. So again, a very big thank you to you.
Thank you, Patricia, for the opportunity. I hope many other people share the same opinion, and I'm open also to learn from other people. We learn every day in social.